guys, welcome back to my channel, Hexes and Horrors. My name is Ashley, and this is the second video in a Q&A series that I'm doing, where I'm trying my best to answer some of the most asked questions about visiting Salem, Massachusetts on the internet, particularly visiting in October. The question that we are answering in this video is, what museums and attractions should I visit in Salem? Excuse my background, which I don't really have a set filming spot for YouTube because it is not my main platform for putting out content. So I kind of just, honestly, I film in my closet a lot, which is next to me just because it's comfortable in one of my favorite rooms. This is my little vanity room. And I think once I finally get this wallpaper finished, that may be a cool background to just sit in front of because it's really pretty. But right now I just have one patch on and I've been meaning to finish the rest of that wall and yeah, wallpaper it. So for now, this is what it is. We got Ghostface over here and just my vanity. And I hate to be the person to kind of like do this series and say, oh, well, there's not really an answer to any of these questions. It depends on you. But that's my answer. Like, I'm not going to tell you what museums and attractions to visit because everyone is a different person and they're going to have different interests and different curiosities and want to do different things. There are a ton of travel guides on the internet about Salem. There are a ton of creators who have 2-day itineraries, weekend itineraries, all this stuff. Everyone has different experiences with the city and different preferences. I'm going to tell you some of my favorite places to go for museums and attractions. And my best advice is to really do your research on these places, look at their social media accounts, look at their website, see what, they cover in their museum, what kind of a topic is it, and see if that's something that you want to learn about. We'll start with the Salem witch trials history because obviously Salem is known for the Salem witch trials. It would not be what it is today if that had never happened. I know a lot of people think the city today is just gimmicky and a tourist trap and all of that. I obviously do not feel that way, but the city did grow into what it currently is because of its infamous and sordid history. So, witch trials history. We're going to start off with the Salem Witch Museum, which is probably one of the most popular museums in Salem. It is the one with the iconic red glowing windows at night. I believe it used to be a church. It's across from the Salem Common. It gets a little bit of hate because it hasn't been updated in so long. I actually think that it is exactly the same from when I used to visit in the late 1990s. One difference is that in the 90s, they used to have a red glowing pentagram on the floor, and then they changed that for some reason. I think because it maybe didn't exactly relate to the witch trials history. Like, they were not Wiccans. Now it's just a circle with all of the victims and the accused names around it. That's the only thing that I have noticed that is different. Everything else is exactly the same. So it definitely could use some updating or maybe some, I don't know, a little more pizzazz. Maybe they add like another little exhibit to it or something. But it does give a good overall history of what happened in 1692 during the Salem witch trials. So if you don't know that much about the history of the witch trials, I think it's still a great museum to go to just to understand what happened. Then there's another section they take you into which goes through the history of witches in the media and the social or public eye rather, as well as pop culture. And it kind of brings you from the time of the witch trials all the way around to current day. I actually really enjoy that part of the museum. So that is the Salem Witch Museum. Then you have the Salem Witch Dungeon, which gives you a reenactment of a trial. After the reenactment, they take you downstairs to a recreation of the old jail where all of the accused were held. There's plenty of other museums that are a little bit less popular but still teach the history of the witch trials, like the Salem Wax Museum, the Witch History Museum. There are a bunch. Then, of course, you have the walking tours throughout Salem. There are a lot of different walking tours. I truly have no idea what walking tour I would even recommend. I have not been on one in so long. I think next time I go to Salem, I actually need to do another walking tour. It's been a while, but those are great. They give you history of the city, history of the witch trials. They obviously take you around town to all these different locations so you can kind of learn what's around you. Highly recommend a walking tour. Unfortunately, like I said, I don't know which one I would recommend. So, look it up on the internet. What are the best walking tours in Salem? If you have people you follow on social media who maybe have some of that information or recommendations, go check them out. I do have a bunch listed in my travel guide, but it hasn't been updated in a couple of years. And like I said, I don't know which one would be the best. But there are different ones. Some of them are paranormal tours, some of them are strictly history tours. Again, you have to just do your research and see which one you think you'd be most interested in. Next up are just general museums and attractions that don't really tie into the witch trials history. The first one is the Halloween Museum, which is on Essex Street. Very cool museum. They give you blacklight glasses. It's like 3D painted neon colors. Very fun, very kid friendly. You have the Salem Torture Museum, which gives you a history of torture tactics and devices used throughout history. You have the House of the Seven Gables, which obviously Nathaniel Hawthorne wrote the famous book about that house. It does kind of have like some ties to the witch trials, not exactly. And then Nathaniel Hawthorne's birthplace is located on the grounds as well. His house where he wrote the Scarlet Letter is also in Salem. There is Count Orlok's Nightmare Gallery, which is kind of like a horror gallery. It gives you a history of horror characters, from people that Boris Karloff played all the way up to Stranger Things present day. It has monsters, so horror characters or monsters, witches, warlocks, vampires, that kind of thing. There's basically mannequins of them and some history of the character and the film that they were in. That's on Essex Street. Also on Essex Street is the International Monster Museum, which is basically like a walk-through haunted house without scare actors. It gives you history of mythical creatures, things like cryptids, skinwalkers, dragons, just any mythical creature you can think of. Then there is the Witch House, which, yes, it is a museum. It's also most people's favorite place to take a picture in Salem, in front of the witch house, but it is a museum, and it is also the only standing structure today in Salem that has direct ties to the witch trials. So I always recommend going inside the witch house and getting tickets to tour the house, not just taking selfies outside. Take your selfie, get a great picture, and then go in and see the actual house. There's also the Daniel's House Inn, not necessarily direct ties to the witch trials, but if you take one of their tours, they give a great overall history of just what life was like during that time for people. You sit in their hearth, basically. You sit in front of their hearth, which is gigantic. Like, I could stand inside it. And the tour guide will tell you stories and tales of what life was like at the time. And it really kind of puts you in their place, because you're sitting in a room like some of the family members would at that time. And just imagining, what things were like around you and what it looked like in Salem at the time, because it was mostly forests and woods. You'd be in your house with the warmth of the fire going, as much warmth as it could provide in the dead of winter in New England, and outside it was just pitch black. Highly recommend taking a tour there. What else? We've got the Salem Witchboard Museum, which is a Ouija board museum on Essex Street. The Peabody Essex Museum, which has tons of different exhibits, and they're always bringing in new things and new events. All of the cemeteries in town, which obviously are tied to the witch trials. I forgot to put that in my earlier section of witch trials related things. There are 2 pirate museums that I'm aware of. One is newer and one has been there for a really long time. I have been to both. If you're interested in maritime history, those would be great places to go. There's also the Friendship of Salem, which is the ship that is, you see docked near the Pickering Wharf. You can take a tour of that ship. I feel like I'm going to stop there because I don't know, that's a lot of places. I know there are more. These are the ones that just immediately come to my head. One of my forever favorite things in Salem is the hidden staircase in the House of the Seven Gables. Like, I get so giddy every time they open that secret door on the tour. It doesn't matter how many times I have seen it, and I have seen it many times. Every time I'm just like so excited to go up that secret staircase. So if you do one thing in Salem, go to the House of the Seven Gables, take a tour, and see the secret staircase. I hope this was somewhat helpful, but again, I feel like you really need to determine what your interests are. Are you interested in maritime history? Are you interested in witch trials history? Are you just interested in Halloween and horror related things? Do you kind of want to do a mix of it all? Answer those questions for yourselves first, and then research the different museums and attractions that fall in line with what you're interested in, and set up your itinerary that way. Hopefully this was helpful. If you have questions about specific places, drop them in the comments. Or if you have any other questions that you want me to try and answer, drop them in the comments as well. And let me know what your favorite museums or attractions are in Salem, or ones that you hope to see if you haven't visited yet. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next Q&A.